Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bible Summary Series. Today we are starting in Joshua chapter 18. The people of Israel came together, all the tribes and leaders, and gathered at a place called Shiloh. There they set up the tabernacle of the Lord. By this time, the land was under Israel's control. But there were still 7 tribes who had not yet received their share of land. So Joshua stood up and challenged them. How long will you wait before taking possession of the land the Lord, the God of your fathers, has already given you? Choose 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out to survey the land and write down a description of it. They will divide the remaining land into 7 parts, then return to me. Judah will remain in the south, and the house of Joseph in the north. When you bring me the descriptions, I will cast lots here before the Lord our God to assign each tribe its portion. Remember, the Levites will not receive an inheritance because the priesthood of the Lord is their inheritance. Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their land east of the Jordan, as Moses gave them. So the men went out, explored the territory, and recorded everything by cities. They divided the land into 7 parts. Then they brought the scroll with their findings back to Joshua at Shiloh. Then Joshua cast lots before the Lord and divided the land among the remaining tribes according to the will of God. The first lot went to the tribe of Benjamin, whose land was located between the tribes of Judah and Joseph. In total, Benjamin received 26 cities and their surrounding villages. In Joshua chapter 19, the remaining tribes received their inheritance. Simeon received their land within the borders of Judah, because Judah's portion was too much for them, so a part of Judah's land was given to Simeon. Then Zebulun, then Asher, then Naphtali, and then Dan received their portions. But the land was too small for the tribe of Dan, so the Danites went north, fought against a city called Lisham, conquered it, and renamed it Dan after their ancestor. When the land was finally divided and each tribe had received its territory, the Israelites gave an inheritance to Joshua, son of Nun. According to the Lord's command, they gave him the city that he asked for, Timnath-serah, in the hill country of Ephraim. Joshua rebuilt the city and made it his home. So it was that Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders of the tribes finished dividing up the land by casting lots at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. With this, the distribution of the land was complete. In Joshua chapter 20, the Lord told Joshua to set up cities of refuge for people who had accidentally killed someone. If a person took another's life without meaning to, they could run to one of these cities to escape the avenger of blood, which was usually a family member seeking revenge. When the person arrived, they were to go straight to the gate of the city, the place where legal matters were heard, and explain their case to the elders. If the killing had truly been unintentional, the elders would take them in, give them a place to live, and protect them. And if the avenger came chasing after them, the elders were not allowed to hand over the person because the killing had not come from hatred or malice. It was a tragic accident. Then the person would stay in that city until their case could be fairly judged by the full congregation. And even after that, they were required to remain there until the high priest at the time passed away. Once the high priest died, that person could return home to their city and to their family free and protected. So Joshua and the leaders appointed 6 cities of refuge across the land: Kadesh, Shechem, Hebron, Betzer, Ramoth, and Golan. These cities were for everyone living among the Israelites, including foreigners. As long as the killing was truly accidental, anyone could flee there and be safe until justice was properly carried out. In Joshua chapter 21, the leaders of the Levites came to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua son of Nun, and to the leaders of the tribes at Shiloh, and said, "The Lord commanded through Moses that we be given cities to live in, along with pasture land for our flocks and herds." So the people of Israel obeyed. Out of their own inheritance, they gave the Levites towns and pasture land, just as the Lord had commanded. Altogether, the Levites were given 48 towns scattered throughout Israel, each with the pasture land around it for their livestock. And with this, the Lord brought his promise to completion. He gave Israel the land he had sworn to their ancestors, and they took possession of it and lived there. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn. None of their enemies could stand against them, for the Lord delivered them all into Israel's hand. Not a single good thing that the Lord had promised to the house of Israel failed. All of it came to pass. In Joshua chapter 22, when the time came, Joshua called together the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. He said to them, "You have done everything Moses commanded, and obeyed me as well. For all these years you have stood by your brothers, helping them fight, and have kept the command of the Lord your God. Now the Lord has given your brothers rest, just as he promised. So return to your homes, to the land that Moses gave you on the east side of the Jordan. But remember, be careful to follow the law of the Lord. Love him, walk in his ways, keep his commands, hold fast to him, and serve him with all your heart and soul." Joshua blessed them and sent them on their way. To half the tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given land in Bashan, and to the other half, Joshua gave land on the west side of the Jordan. When he dismissed them, he blessed them again and said, "Go back to your tents with great wealth, with much livestock, silver, gold, bronze, iron, and abundant clothing. Divide the vast spoils of your enemies with your brothers." So Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the rest of Israel at Shiloh and finally returned to their homes in Gilead, the land God had given them through Moses. But when they came to the Jordan River, they stopped and built a great, large altar by the river. Word quickly spread back to the rest of Israel. "Look, the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh have built an altar on the border of Canaan by the Jordan." When they heard the news, the Israelites gathered together at Shiloh to go to war against them. But before drawing swords, they sent a delegation, Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, along with 10 leaders, one from each of their tribes. They confronted the eastern tribes in Gilead and said, "Thus saith the whole congregation of the Lord, what is this treachery you have committed today against the Lord God of Israel by turning away from the Lord and building an altar for yourselves, that you might rebel this day against the Lord? Wasn't the iniquity of Peor, which brought a plague upon the Lord's community, enough for us? To this day we have not cleansed ourselves from it. If you rebel now, the Lord's anger will fall on all of us. If the land you received is somehow unclean, then come back and live in the Lord's land where his tabernacle stands. But don't rebel against him or against us by building another altar besides the altar of the Lord our God. Remember what happened with Achan? One man sinned and the whole congregation suffered." Then the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh answered, "The Lord, the mighty one, he knows, and let Israel know this too. If we have built this altar in rebellion, then do not spare us. If it was meant for burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifices, then let the Lord judge us. But that is not why we did it. We were afraid that in the future your descendants might say to ours, 'What part do you have in the Lord, the God of Israel? The Lord put the Jordan between us and you. You have no share in him.' And so our children might stop fearing the Lord. So we built this altar, not for sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you, between our children and yours, that we too serve the Lord with our offerings, sacrifices, and peace offerings. When future generations ask us, we can point to this altar and say, 'Look, it stands as a copy of the altar of the Lord, a reminder that we are united in worship.' God forbid that we should rebel against him and turn from following the Lord by building another altar for sacrifices besides the one in front of his tabernacle." When Phinehas and the 10 leaders heard this reply, they were pleased. "Now we know the Lord is with us," Phinehas said. "You have not been unfaithful to him, and now you have saved Israel out of the hand of the Lord." Afterwards, they returned to Shiloh and told the rest of the Israelites their answer. The people were pleased, and they praised God. Then they abandoned their plans for war and did not march against Reuben and Gad to destroy their land. And the tribes of Reuben and Gad named the altar Ed, meaning witness, for they said, "It is a witness between us that the Lord is God."
At Shiloh the tribes gathered near, the tabernacle standing clear, the land subdued, the battle's done, yet 7 tribes had not begun.
Then Joshua rose and took his stand. Why wait to claim your promised land? Send out your men to map the way the Lord has given you this day.
Take the land by the Lord's almighty hand. Every promise still stands true. The God of Israel fights for you. Build your homes and raise your songs, for in His strength you will be strong. By His grace and by His plan, take the land, take the land. The scribes He turned with scrolls in hand, divided into 7 lands, and there before the Lord they cast the sacred lots each tribe held fast.
To Benjamin and Simeon's kin, Zebulun, Dan, their lots fell in. The land was marked, each tribe assigned, in every part God's will designed.
Take the land by the Lord's almighty hand. Every promise still stands true. The God of Israel fights for you. Build your homes and raise your songs, for in His strength you will be strong. By His grace and by His plan, take the land, take the land.
And when the tribes received their share, they gave to Joshua proud and fair, a city in the mountain high, his home beneath God's promised skies.
Then came the city set apart for refuge and the broken heart, a place for justice, not for hate, where mercy stands
At heaven's gate. And when the land was claimed and known, 3 tribes returned to journey home, to Gilead where rivers run. The work of war at last was done, but they built an altar by the river. It stood misunderstood, but meant for good.
not for rebellion or for flame, but as a witness to His name.